Mr. Chairman, Mui, Joshi, my old colleagues. It's a privilege to be here, but it's a sad experience for me. Some of you may know I was president for 3 years of TI, and we had been pushing, and I know TI has continued to push, but the response has not been as adequate as it could or should be. Now we have talked about wake-up calls. The alarm has been ringing for a long time, but people don't seem to be waking up. So I think the time has come to shake them up. Otherwise, we're going to carry on. Now, without saying anything out of class, I was the chairman of one panel in the MACC, and I can tell you they're doing their best. But, put yourself in their position. And this is the real problem behind our low scores. You have money politics. The meeting of Amro General Assembly, the elections are coming up, other political parties will be meeting, but they all involve and indulge in money politics. And when the top is rotten through money politics, you can't expect MACC to do much. They will do it within their constraints. I'm not asking you for an answer, but betul ke tidak? I can betul. Put yourself in their position. How can you go and catch every minister, every adun who's corrupt? There may be too many to catch. You may have the breakdown of the whole political system, because this is actually encouraged. It's not a scourge in Malaysia alone, it's an international scourge. That's why they talk about the Arab Spring. You have it even in the US, big lobbies. But they can afford the luxury of money politics. We can't. As developing countries, we cannot at all. Our resources are scarce, our management skills are limited. Despite that, we have brain drain and capital outflow. We need to conserve, but we can't because of political leadership. So when you say, have stronger will, I say yes. In the first instance, it's much stronger will. Now how can we do it? I don't want to just talk, you know. I am hoping that this meeting, with your permission, Chairman Sir, will resolve, because you can't listen to a briefing and go back, what are we contributing? So I would humbly request you, as a body, that the members of PI, they have to listen to you, like politicians got to listen to your vote, take heed of your vote. Pass a resolution accepting all the recommendations. And I would add a few more. Urge Cabinet and all political leaders to declare their assets. That's where it starts. You expect the mata-mata and the MACC people to go after people and catch the kucing karak, ikan bilis. They can't get the top guys because if they are corrupt, how do you go for them? But if they declare the assets and the Prime Minister and the Cabinet says, I don't care what you did before, from tomorrow, if you are found corrupt, you are headed, I sack you. Can you imagine the impact on the ground? Am I right? That's one recommendation. Another one. This covers federal and state and local authorities. Amend the law. Compare it again to the best legislation. Put the onus of proof on the individual. If somebody is earning $2,000 ringgit a month, but has 5 cars and 5 houses and maybe a few wives too, something must be wrong. How did he afford it? Put the onus on him to prove it. I mean, somebody, when I used to argue about this, they say, oh, it's against human rights. But look, we need human rights to benefit the majority, not the minority. My next point would be, on the international side, the barometer index, please recommend, and we ask them to follow our advice or recommendation, which is to establish an index too. It's very difficult to say 50% are for, 40% against, but you have an index, it sticks, and they can divide it. But having said all that, I would also add, why don't we ask government to establish a parliamentary select committee? I think on the election they've done a great job. Personally, I regret. In fact, Pro-Harm, we put up this recommendation. This issue should have gone to the select committee, peaceful assembly. Well, government in the wisdom decided against it, and I think unfortunately you will find a continuing reaction. So on corruption, before it's too late, establish a parliamentary select committee. Hear the people out. See what can be done to improve it further. The government has, as the Prime Minister very rightly says, must bring about change. I'm quoting the Prime Minister, so don't charge me for sedition. And so, he says, if he does not change, the government can and will be changed. What he's saying is axiomatic. It's basic democratic principles. Change or be changed. Now, there's been too much rhetoric. That's why the alarm bell rings, alarm clock rings, and you can't get up. There's too much of rhetoric, but not enough practice. Too much preaching, but not enough practice. So why, if you ask me humbly, let me suggest, why has the CPI not improved? Because people do not believe that the politicians mean what they say and will do what they plan to do as they say. So that's why there's basically the perception problem is a credibility gap problem. It's a communication gap problem. So you can hear all the great speeches and they are wonderful to hear, to listen to, but they are not being followed through. That is the communication gap. That's the rhetoric and the practice. And that indeed is the major problem. And that's why our perception index has been stagnant or declining in the last 2 years, which, as I said at the very beginning, saddens my heart and saddens all of you, because this is indeed not good for our country, people, our children and our grandchildren and our posterity. God bless us all. Thank you very much.